What up, boys, and welcome to probably my least enthusiastic video on the channel. I'm not feeling amazing right now, and it's just a little balance change update, so I'll just go through this, read them off, and we can have a discussion and stuff. There's gonna be a load of comments to this, and I haven't even done replying to the last video's comments, but god damn it, we'll get through it. So, starting, you know where we gotta start. Royal Giant has gotten... I'm going to call it a buff. It seems like a buff. Its range has got shorter by 23% is what I believe it is, but it's got 6% more damage. So overall, it's like a 37% buff, and that's good. Royal Giant obviously sucks in Tournament Standard, it's amazing on Ladder. I don't know why they don't just make it a rare card, and why they're going through all of this effort of reworking it. It was a fine card, and they should have just made it rare. But I'll allow it, right? I just want it to be buffed, I want it to be viable, and hopefully this will be it. I was really skeptical on whether this here was going to make it good again, but then I saw they also changed the deployment time, which they didn't mention in this little video that they linked. That's big. Like, some of the biggest changes we've seen in this game are to deployment time, so I think that's going to be, like, really underrated, and I think as a punish card, although its range is only 5 now, I still think it's going to be, like, pretty good. So yeah, overall on ladder, I wouldn't freak out too much because you now have time to kill it. It's just when it does get hit, it's so much more like impactful. So it's so much easier to kill, but it gets so much more damage, with higher risk, higher reward, so you can't really just spam it at the bridge anymore because you can just get it countered by pretty much any building now. Giant Goblin, as we're going to call it, because Goblin Giant sucks, got more hit points, cool, it needs them, it has really no HP at the moment, so that's cool. Not quite sure why just this, like they could have done more to this card. It's pretty bad. Bomb Tower area damage goes up 5%, doesn't change anything as with the Giant Goblin. Bomb Tower just bad, it's going to need more than that to be meta, but I don't really want it to be meta, so please stop buffing this card. I don't see why it needs to be meta. I understand it's been bad forever, but remember when it was good, it was like the worst thing to face in the game, so please just leave it alone. Gobhart spawn speed goes down by 0.3 seconds, so I believe this will get another spawn, otherwise it doesn't really make much sense where they've done it, so that's cool. It needed a buff, and maybe it's good now. It will do, you know, one extra hit opposed to what it does now, so I don't know. Not too much comment on this. Again, I don't think it does too much. Skeleton Army, one more Skeleton, I'm not even going to discuss this, it doesn't do anything. Barbarian Barrel rolls faster and the Barb gens out quicker, so essentially it's just a little bit faster now. It's probably a little less awkward, because when you throw it, it's sort of like, well, that's a little bit, you know, lackluster. Still think it needs something else. I don't think the Barbarian inside is ever going to be useful. I don't quite understand the mechanic, because when do you ever need that one Barbarian? You'd rather just use a log and you'd get, like, more value, if anything, and then not a Barbarian. So, not really keen on that. Snowball now has a longer slow and is a little bit more area damage. Not quite sure what this area damage does. I don't believe it will one-shot anything else. I'm pretty sure its damage is too low, and a 10% isn't really gonna like boost it too much. It might just be for a crown tower thing, but even then, it's only like 4 damage, so not quite sure, but longer slow is good because it's bad and any buff is good. So far, like, all of these don't do anything. This one does a lot, which is cool. And then the Ice Wizards, which was the one that we voted on. So I had a few people ask me to be like, oh, what do you think of the vote? I think the votes are cool. I think just having all of the balance changes, like, with no community input, like, that's how they've always done it, but it always seems like there might be stuff that the community wants to push for. I'm surprised Icewiz won it, and not because Icewiz is good, but I was expecting more of, like, the random community to go like, oh, Bomber, right? I wasn't expecting Icewiz, a legendary card, to win it, because most of the community just plays on ladder, and obviously legendaries are the hardest to get leveled up on ladder. Do I think it should just be a public vote? Maybe not. I saw Tag on Twitter say that they should have, like, a 20-win challenge, which I disagree with. I believe he took that statement back, though, so I'm not, like, throwing shade. I believe a 12-win challenge would work. Just a quick one-day challenge. If you can get 12 wins, here's your vote. Although, I'm not too sure I would even play that. I'm not sure I would take, you know, an hour out of my time to get one vote. I think maybe if your account has over 12 wins, or it has 13 to 20, then you get to vote in the game. I think that might be cool, because then you're not required to do anything else, and when the challenges do come out, you're not playing for the vote, you're playing for getting the challenge. Is it a problem that, like, all of the community can vote? Not really. Like, I'll explain, right? So Icewiz is a bad card by itself, right? Icewiz as a card in the metagame is okay. It's not overpowered, it's not underpowered, it's okay, right? The only time it's ever used is with Tornado, right? And if you look at Tornado by itself, you can use that card by itself, right? It still, like, mostly shuts down Hog Riders. You know, you can activate the King with most things still. Like, Nado is still a good card, and Ice Wiz is only good with Nado. So I think what Supercell want is they want Ice Wiz to be a card that you can use by itself, and not have to use Nado. And I think that's why they've buffed it here, and this buff specifically has changed interactions with Ewiz, Bowler, and maybe Zappies, I think, or is another card. There were like 3 cards, but I don't remember them. So yeah, personally, I like this change because it makes it more of a viable card by itself, and I think Nado is the problem. But yeah, I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me because most people are like, oh, Ice Wiz was already good, even though it was the most voted on card to get buffed, but, you know, most of you are probably going to disagree with me. But yeah, those were the balances. Usually I give, like, an overall thought, but all of these don't do anything. Like, none of this changes how impactful that card will be, because these cards are all just bad. The only cards I'm going to try now are Ice Wizard, and Royal Giant. So I'm going to try a Royal Giant deck with Ice Wizard in. I don't think Ice Wizard will be insanely overpowered. I've always liked Royal Giant with one of those wizard, like, control-y cards, so either E-Wiz or Ice Wiz, and because it's getting a buff, I might as well try it out. So yeah, I'm going to leave you a poll again to vote on what you think of it. Yeah, as I said, probably not too impactful, but apart from that, peace, boys.